Stop panicking. Or do we actually have a $600 million black hole in Cardano's vault? Stick around because the truth is wilder than, well, the rumor. Now, I don't know about you, but when I rolled out of bed yesterday and saw 318 million ADA missing screaming across my feed, my first thought was that some prankster had left the meme coin factory door wide open. Then it hit me. This wasn't just another cheeky dog coin or dog token kind of rug pull. This was Charles Hoskinson, yes, the guy who helped birth Ethereum and then built Cardano from scratch, being accused of teleporting $600 million worth of ADA into some shadow dimension. Now that's the kind of misplacing every Tesla on your city's highway and dropping the GDP of a small island between your sofa cushions. Kind of huge. And here's the kicker. The outrage didn't come from random trolls. It actually exploded inside the Cardano community itself. And the folks who've kind of been staking, voting, and high-fiving each other over rewards since the kind of 𝗕𝗘𝗪 era, just imagine turning up to your family barbecue and your cousin suddenly yells, "You stole my inheritance." Pretty much that kind of vibe. Okay, so let's rewind the tape in slow-mo because every detail here matters. Late last week, a thread pops up claiming Input-Output Global, that's IOG, the company that Charles Hoskinson runs, now diverted 318 million ADA during cleanup after the 2017 token sale. Converted that stash at today's price and you kind of get roughly $600 million US, enough to buy half of the world's avocados or bankroll a moon base McDonald's. Either way, it's kind of heart-stopping. So cue the rumor mill kind of going turbo then. Screenshots fly, hashtags trend, pitchfork gifs everywhere, IOG employees jump in, unclaimed vouchers. They explain, and logistical nightmare they kind of plead. But comments sections aren't having it, right? Picture an episode of Jerry Springer, except everyone in the audience is waving a Ledger Nano instead of a chair. Enter Charles Hoskinson, walking onto the virtual stage with the kind of exhaustion that you can only get from a decade of crypto Twitter. Now, on May 20th, he drops two words, audit time, plus a kind of Bane quote from The Dark Knight Rises, and this gives you power over me kind of nerd points. And it kind of gives you Batman flex, I guess. But more importantly, it's kind of Charles saying, enough talk, let's put the books on the table. And not just any books, though. Right, we're talking bring in the big guns transparency. You've got Joel, this is IOG's chief legal eagle, a guy who probably sips espresso spiked with citations. They've announced that they've actually hired 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗏 and Emery on the legal side and the BDO International on the audit side. Now, these aren't basement accountants scribbling on napkins, right? BDO audits entire governments. McDermott writes merger contracts thick enough to stop a bullet. They kind of bill by the minute and their minute costs more than my monthly coffee budget. Joel adds that a kind of crypto forensic firm will trace every single ADA molecule, right? Think CSI, but the fingerprint dust is Merkle trees and the magnifying glass is a block explorer zoomed to 8 decimal precision. And when they're done, they'll publish a public report so detailed that you could knit a scarf out of the footnotes. Now, why is this more than crypto company hires auditors? Well, for context, Cardano's ICO, it happened in 2017, right? Thousands of people bought paper vouchers, especially in Japan. And this was before regulators even decided whether crypto was a sushi or a sashimi, right? And some holders redeemed, some lost their slips, some forgot, and the blockchain marched forward through upgrades. Byron, 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏, Goguen, 𝗕𝗓𝗪. And those orphaned tokens, well, they were stuck. And by July 2020, the 𝗕𝗘𝗪 hard fork moved Cardano from a federated to fully decentralized. It's great for security, but terrible for redeeming dusty vouchers. Unclaimed ADA became unspendable. Emergo, Cardano's commercial arm, says that they spent 7 years hunting voucher owners, literally door to door in Japan. Excuse me, do you have 12,000 ADA under your bed next to your Tamagotchi? And some people did, right? Many never surfaced. And to keep the network upgrade on schedule, IOG shuffled the unredeemed coins to new addresses. That housekeeping move, meant to protect the roadmap, is now the backbone of the $600 million accusation. And I totally get why it looks so shady. Crypto history is littered with founders who did midnight kind of wallet drains, then kind of posted yoga selfies from Bali. But I also get Charles's frustration. Right? Imagine steering a top 10 blockchain, shipping peer-reviewed research, and still waking up to "you stole lunch money" trending on Twitter. And at some point, you'd flip the Twitter table too. So let's talk process then, right? Mick, Dermont, Will, and Emery will carve out the legal scope, dates, addresses, transaction IDs, everything. BDO will comb through balance sheets, fiat ramps, OTC trades, multi-sig logs, and the crypto forensics teams will, annotate each ADA hop like detectives, tagging footprints, right? All those puzzle pieces merge into a single PDF that the public, meaning you, me, regulators, and your conspiracy-loving cousin, can download and dissect. So what's the timeline? Well, Joel was pretty blunt. No clue yet, right? Big Four style kind of audits, take months, right? Now, reconciling on-chain data with off-chain ledgers is like kind of teaching a cat to swim. Totally possible, but there's a lot of clawing, right? And then there's the lawyers that have to kind of phrase it so tight that nobody gets sued for defamation. So if you're kind of hoping for a verdict next Thursday, you're going to have some breathing time. Meanwhile, of course, the community is split. Some cheer, finally, transparency. Others grumble, stall tactic. Last night, I was kind of bouncing through Telegram groups, subreddits, and our own free crypto Discord server. The link for that is in the description down below if you want to join the fireworks. And opinions were pretty spicy. Think Ghost Pepper level. But here's a twist. Right, Charles says once the audit's done, he's handing his X account to staff, muting the noise and focusing on healing, right? That's pretty heavy. The man's known for hour-long kind of backyard AMAs where he smokes a cigar and explains consensus as if it's a bedtime story. If he's even tapping out, you know the last few days have been brutal. And another angle that nobody's talking about is what this audit could do for industry standards, right? If Cardano ends up kind of publishing a step-by-step blueprint for reconciling 7-year-old token histories with modern corporate ledgers, well, that template won't stay a secret. Smaller projects will copy-paste the playbook, regulators will cite it in new guidance, and suddenly the whole space levels up its compliance game. All because a heated Twitter thread forced everyone's hand. Conflict, messy as it feels, sometimes forces the industry to grow up faster than any glossy conference keynote ever could. It's funny how that works. And by the way, guys, if you're hungry to get hands-on action while all of this unpacks, don't just sit there doom scrolling. Jump on over to Blowfin using the link down below. Start trading with what I honestly think is the best up-and-coming crypto exchange on the planet, and snag whatever promos they're running this week. There's multiple on-ramps here, so register with as many exchanges as you possibly can, people. It never hurts. Okay, quick detour finished. Back to the kind of soap opera then. Imagine Hoskinson right now, right? Your phone kind of pings non-stop. The subreddit compares you to Sam Bankman-Fried. Sure, an external audit costs a fortune, but it's the ultimate mic drop, right? You can't argue with double entry bookkeeping stamped by BDO approved, right? And it's like inviting Gordon Ramsay into your own restaurant, slamming your kitchen door open and yelling, Find the raw chicken if you can. It's a high-risk play, but much higher credibility. There's an emotional layer here too. In crypto, founders are their projects, right? Attack Cardano, it feels like you're attacking Charles's identity. Now, he's been the face since 2015, juggling research, dev milestones, and community drama. The decision to hand over social media hints that the line finally snapped. And an important reminder, right? Mental health does indeed matter, even for guys who quote Bane. Blockchain's performance doesn't help nuance either, right? A code migration shows on-chain as wallet A, sending coins to wallet B. Context kind of evaporates. Storytellers fill the gap. And in crypto, stories kind of materialize into kind of folklore overnight. And let's not forget those voucher owners, right? Somewhere a retired engineer who bought ADA in 2017 lost the paper slip, now reads at around $600 million tug of war over his coins. Maybe the audit reveals or revives a late redemption path, maybe not. Either way, their fate is tied to what BDO writes in a crisp PDF later this year. And so here we are, right? The audit clock is ticking. Lawyers are suiting up. Auditors are calibrating calculators. Block explorers are humming, and the community holding its collective breath. If you've ever wondered how decentralized accountability works, pull up a chair. My take, drama's unavoidable when money, tech, and internet tribes collide. The difference between crash and comeback is how fast that facts replace rumors. Cardano's betting on cold, hard audits. Good move? Now, in a world where data kind of is public and opinions kind of weaponized, transparency is both shield and sword. And so that's the saga so far. Watch for the audit report, maybe in 6 weeks, maybe in 6 months, because whichever way it lands, headlines will explode. And until then, diversify your research, stay skeptical, but keep an open mind. Remember, even billion-dollar blockchains need housekeeping.